I'm going to read this newly released book called Moral Ambition: Stop Besting Your Talent and Start Making a Difference, which is written by Roger Bregman. And I will try to read just the introductory part of it. And in this video, what I want is that you can, while watching this video, read this very popular, very exciting book with me right now as I am doing this, so that instead of watching any random videos, any entertaining videos, you can also just learn something in the go. Okay, so I will start. So at first there is the praise for moral ambition by various famous people, so I will skip this part. I will just come directly to the introduction part. So the content you can see of this book, the first chapter is first the prologue. It is the happiest brain on earth. We will look in the latter part as to what it is about. The first chapter talks about no, you are not fine just the way you are, a model for what you can do with your talents and your time. The second chapter is about lower your thresholds for taking action, on resistance heroes and how contagious moral ambition can be. The third chapter is about join a cult or start your own. This seems pretty interesting. So the chapter is about naders, raiders, the quackers, and other outsiders who change the world. Fourth chapter is see winning as your moral duty. This seems like a little bit of Trumpian rhetoric, you know, win, win, win. So the novel Losers, Five Illusion, and the Genius of Rosa Parks. Fifth chapter is about learn to weep over spreadsheets. It's about the remarkable tale of the man who hit the wrong button on his remote. Sixth chapter is about enroll at a Hogwarts for do-gooders. It is about visiting one of the most inspiring schools on the planet. And seventh chapter and the final chapter I think is about find out what the world needs and make it happen. No, there are more chapters. So the seventh chapter is about what we can learn from pioneers and creators like Jonas Salk and Josephine Cochrane. Eighth chapter is about save a life, what radical prioritizing makes possible and how moral ambition can go off the rails. Ninth chapter is about expand your moral circle. Sixth sign you may be on the wrong side of history. And tenth chapter is about how make future historian proud, talking on the biggest threats to humanity. So I will just read the prologue, and you can also read with me. I will go pretty fast so that you do not waste your time, and just follow me. So, prologue. I cannot believe that the purpose of life is to be happy. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be honorable, to be compassionate. It is, above all, to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have it make difference that you lived at all. Leo Rustin. The neurologist could scarcely believe their eyes. Never before had they seen a brain like this one. It was early morning on 22nd May 2001, and at a laboratory at the University of Wisconsin, the team stared at the latest MRI scans. What in the world was going on? The subject showed a level of gamma waves unknown to the neuroscience. The left side of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain associated with happiness, was bursting with activity, while the right hand side, associated with negative thoughts, registered next to nothing. When the scientists shared their results, the press proclaimed they had found the man with the most beautiful brain on earth. His level of mind control is astonishing, wrote a British reporter, and the upbeat impulse in his brains are off the scale. Who was this man? And how did his brain get this way? The man in the MRI scanner was a Buddhist monk named Matthew Ricard. He had grown up in Paris and earned a PhD in molecular genetics at the prestigious Pasteur Institute. But at the age of 26, with a promising scientific career ahead of him, Ricard left it all behind and went to Tibet. There, in the rarefied air of the Himalayas, he studied under the great Buddhist masters. Ricard would end up clocking more than 60,000 hours of meditation. Year in, year out, he fed his brain with thoughts of love and compassion to staggering effect. By the time he ended up in that scanner, according to headline around the globe, Ricard was the happiest man in the world. What this monk achieved is something millions of people chase as the ultimate goal in their lives. We can't get enough of the mantras, methods, and life hacks that promises greater mindfulness, prosperity, and well-being. You can easily spend 60,000 hours on the thousand of books about the 7 habits, 12 rules, or that one big secret to living a long and happy life, all in the hopes of someday having a brain as beautiful as the illustrious Frenchman's. But you can also look at Mr. Ricard in a different light. Here is a guy who spent 60,000 hours, that's 7,500 work days, or a solid 30 years of full time work inside his own head. 30 years in which he did little for others, 30 years in which he didn't lift a finger to make the world a better place. Maybe you dream of doing something else with your limited time on this planet. Maybe your own happiness isn't the prime objective, let alone your ultimate life goal. Maybe you don't want to find yourself on your deathbed with the gnawing feeling you had more in you, perhaps much more. In that case, you will need a book that's more than the latest guide to finding happiness. Not a book that makes life easier, but one that makes life a little harder. Not a book that offers solace, but one that causes friction. The kind of book you harvest you had never picked up at all because once you put it down, you might just have to change your life. This is that kind of book. Oh, this the preface really sounded interesting to me. After reading this, I'm totally excited to go into the content of the book. It is a limited content, but it is worth going over. Okay, so the first chapter is No, you are not fine just the way you are. People may spend their whole lives climbing the ladder of success only to find, once they reach the top, that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. Ellen Rain, writer. This quote sounds too true because it has been experience of many people that once they have achieved the highest pinnacles of success, they feel unfulfilled, they feel that it was not the purpose of their life, and they have left their corporate careers, their mega billion companies and all their wealth to find happiness. So yeah, let's zoom ahead. Of all the things wasted in our throwaway times, the greatest is wasted talent. There are millions of people around the world who could help make the world a better place but don't. Why is that? First, there is the obvious reason don't get the chance. After all, half the world's people have to make do with little less than $7 a day. How many lost Einsteins walk among them? But I am talking here about the people who have been given every opportunity, about the ones who have got the power to shape their own careers, though you would never know it from their utterly unsurprising resumes. About the talented folks with the world at their feet who nonetheless get stuck in mind numbing, pointless, or just plain harmful jobs. There is an antidote to that kind of waste, and it's called moral ambition. Moral ambition is the will to make the world a widely better place, to devote your working life to the great challenges of our time, whether that's climate change or corruption, gross inequality, or the next pandemic. It is a longing to make a difference and to build a legacy that truly matters. Moral ambition begins with a simple realization you have got only one life. The time you have left on this earth is your most precious possession. You can't buy yourself a more time. Every hour you have spent is gone forever. A full time career consists of some 80,000 hours, or 10,000 work days, or 2,000 work weeks. How you spend that time is one of the most important moral decisions of your life. So, what do you want on your resume? Going for a respectable, if bland list? Or do you set the bar higher? Morally ambitious individuals don't move with the heart, but believe in a deeper form of freedom. It's the freedom to push aside conventional standard of success, to make your own way along life's path, knowing it's a journey you can only make once. Those looking to do some good in today's world don't have to look far. Still reeling from a global pandemic, we are seeing hunger surge for the first time in years. Meanwhile, autocracy is on the rise, while the number of people forced to flee their homes has topped 100 million for the first time. And as temperature hit one record high after another, climate scientists are stressing the need for the biggest and most fundamental transformation of society ever attempted in peacetime. In short, these times call for moral ambition. Now you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but I have got a full time job, two kids, and a mortgage. I'm happy to recycle and eat some tofu now and then, but a fundamental transformation? No, thanks. In that case, this book may not be for you. I mean, once you have a labradoodle, a set of cheese knives, or a robot mower, there is generally no going back. But if that's irritating to hear, and I imagine it might be, then by all means prove me wrong. I've learned there are always exceptions, and in this book, I want to show you that you can be that exception. When it comes to moral ambition, it's never too late to step up. Let's start with a simple model of what you can do with your talent. Whether you have got your whole career ahead of you or are looking to make a change, it seems to me you have got roughly four options. Category 1, jobs. Not that ambition, not that idealistic. Some jobs simply don't add much value. These are people writing reports nobody reads or managing colleagues who don't need managing. Recent research shows that about 8% of all employees think their own job is pretty pointless. Another 17% confess to having some doubts about whether their jobs contribute to society. The latest anthropologist David Graeber had a highly technical term for such positions: bullshit jobs. What jobs are we talking about here? Well, we know which one it is not. In 2020, at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, list of essential workers popped up everywhere, from cleaning staff to street sweepers, from teachers to firefighters, and from bus drivers to registered nurses. These are the people who keep the world running. They don't need a lecture on moral ambition. But there is also a class of not so useful job, a class of influencers and marketers, of lobbyists and managers, of consultants and corporate lawyers, all people who go on strike and the world would be just fine. Remarkably enough, this group includes many men and women with impressive credentials and equally impressive salaries. Reminds me of that Facebook employee who said, "The best mind of my generation are thinking about how to make people click ads." Who thinks their own job is bullshit? The percentage of people who think their job is pointless or who have doubts about its value for society by occupation. But it can be even worse. Some jobs are outrightly harmful and fall into what are sometimes called the sin industries. Here we find accountant helping the rich avoid taxes, marketers promoting addictive meds, brokers peddling dubious financial products, or anyone working for the gambling industry or big tobacco. These jobs often get a lick of PR paint. At tobacco giant Philip Morris, for instance, they claim to be working towards a smoke-free future. But make no mistake, we are talking here about people getting paid to do real damage to the rest of society. Unless concerned, many of these employees won't cop to having a pointless or harmful job. It's not exactly the kind of thing you chat about at parties. That may be why such positions pay so well. You would want extra compensation for having to admit you do that kind of work. In fact, there is a striking correlation between the level of pay in a given industry and how moral or immoral we think it is. See, for instance, this graph from a Swiss study. The higher the pay, the more immoral the work. For some people in this not all that ambitious, not all that idealistic category, there is also an escape hatch. Becoming financially independent, countless self-help books lay out how to get rich with minimal effort so you can get out as soon as possible, then kick back and relax. You have now got lots of people in their 20s or 30s who dream of accumulating passive income from real estate, shares, cryptocurrency, so they can earn enough to retire early. Nothing wrong with having some saving and investment, of course, but at its core, this kind of thinking always seems a little sad to me. It means you are changing a form of freedom where you won't have to lift a finger. The dream is to make the transition from office job to person of independent means, so you can delegate all the annoying work and no longer have to contribute to society. Category 2 is that of jobs that are ambitious but not all that idealistic. The second category of jobs talent consists of people who are ambitious but not so idealistic, or put another way, these people want to reach to the top but use solution-less indicators for a success. Soulless indicators for a success: fancy title, fat salary, corner office, or other perks. Take graduates from the world's most prestigious universities. Some 45% of the Harvard alumni go into finance or consulting. A fall from a few years back shows that in my country, the Netherlands, 40% of high achievers aspire to work for major consulting firm like McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group. We are talking about colossal waste of talent here. Economist Benjamin Lockwood, who studied at Amherst, the elite private college in Massachusetts, noticed that many of his fellow students went into fields with no clear added value to society. And in 2017, Lockwood and two colleagues published a groundbreaking study showing that many of those former classmates now cost society money. Think banking executives who need bailing out with public money. A corporate lawyer, for instance, does some $30,000 of damage to society each year. A commercial banker, more than $100,000. That's a lot of money. But if you ask Lockwood, a opportunity costs are much higher. That's economic jargon. Just think how much better shape our world would be if these brightest people had done something useful with their lives. Okay, so the third kind of jobs uh, we would skip to the third kind of jobs which are idealistic but not all that ambitious. And then there is a third category made up of people who are idealistic but not that ambitious. It is a combination often seen in Gen Z people. born since 1996. One survey after another shows that today's teenager and 20 something make up the most progressive generation age. That's wonderful news. Most young people are far more realistic than their parents are and focused on a number of big challenges of the day, whether that's climate change or racism, sexual harassment or inequality. But something seems to be missing. You see it in young people take on their career with no interest in joining the capitalist rat race. Many want work they are passionate about and then preferably part time. Sometimes it seems ambition has become a dirty word, incompatible with an idealistic lifestyle. Many people are more preoccupied with the kind of work they do than with the impact that work has. As long as it feels good, small is beautiful, you will then hear. Or think global, act local, as if little is somehow a virtue. In some circle, you would think the highest good is not to have any impact at all. A good life is then primarily defined by what you don't. Don't fly, don't eat meat, don't have kids. Whatever you do, don't even think about using a plastic straw. Reduce, reduce, reduce. The aim is to have a smaller footprint possible with your little vegetable garden or your tiny house. Best case scenario, an impact on the planet is so negligible you could just as well not have existed. Don't get me wrong, it's fine idea to align even your smallest deed with your biggest value. But surely a good life consists of more than what you don't do. One would hope that on your deathbed you can check off your life's work to more than simply all the harm you didn't do. I will just skip the portion so that the video does not get wrong. So we have stood the fourth kind of job. Now I will third kind of job. Now I will skip to fourth, idealistic and ambitious. This is the kind of jobs this book is talking about. This is the kind of jobs one should aspire according to the writer. Is there another way? Say you take the ambition of a high flyer and add a generous dose of idealism. What do you get? Let me introduce my personal hero, someone I will come back to this book, the author and activist Thomas Clarkson. In 1785, a 24-year college student, Clarkson decided to enter an essay contest in Latin at Cambridge University. To take part, he had to answer a short question. Is it okay to force others into slavery? At the time, winning a Latin essay contest was a way to make a name for yourself at university. I had no motive but that which other young men in the university had on such occasions. Clarkson would later recall, namely the wish of being distinguished or obtaining literary honor. There was just one small prologue. Clark didn't know a thing about slavery. A student had 2 months to put their thought to paper, and while most only started to feel the pressure when the deadline was imminent, Clarkson was different. He got straight to work. The honest student loved an intellectual challenge and thought he would enjoy the research process, but the fact hit hard. In the daytime, I was energy. In the night, I had little rest. I sometimes never closed my eyelid for grief. Clarkson kept a candle near his bed in case anything occurred to him at night because he believed that no argument of any moment should be lost so great a cause. A few weeks of hard work, his essay was finished in powerful prose. Clarkson concluded that slavery was contrary to reason, justice, nature, principles of law and government, and revealed voice of God. And you guessed it, he won first place. Clarkson was invited to present his winning essay in the majestic Senate House at the University of Cambridge. There he stood, a towering young man with fiery hair and bright eyes. All signs indicated Thomas Clarkson had a glorious career ahead of him. But on the way back to London, he couldn't get the subject of his essay out of his head. He got down from the horse and walked distracted, tried to convince himself he had made some mistake. But the longer he thought about it, the deeper the truth sunk in. When the village of Wademill came in, he stopped and sat down glum at the side of the road. Here a thought came into my mind that if the content of the essay were true, then it was time some person should do. So Clarkson was inspired by the essay on slavery he wrote. So he thought, yeah, if this exists in the world, he need to do something about it. You know. So this was about, he had a certain kind of idealism as well as ambition. In this book, I would like to introduce you to some of the Thomas Clarkson of our time, a paradise of activists, entrepreneurs, doctors, and lawyers, engineers, and innovators, all busting with moral ambition. Okay, so I will skip. So this book is talking about all the really ambitious people who also have an idealism, who have a vision about the world, who wants to make impact, a positive contribution to betterment of society, rather than just being ambitious or rather than just being idealistic. So I will stop the video right here. So I hope you got a gist of what this very popular book is all about, what is the theme of the book, and I think now you know that what this book is going to argue about. So this was my purpose behind making this video, so that in a very small amount of time you could read this book, not listen to some lecture, not listen to somebody's interpretation or watch some video. You can read this book without having to buy the hard copy or just read the whole PDF. You could, if you take any book, if you read the prologue of it, you get the basic sense of the book. So thank you. This is my first video, If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I hope to make more videos in future because I love reading and I love knowing about the latest book that are in market. Thank you so much.